Hey, how y'all doing today and what is going on? It is Friday, January 28th, 2022, here in the Atlanta Birdgang and also on YouTube on Uncle Steve's Lounge. How are y'all doing today? It is getting ready to get cold, so hopefully y'all bundle up if you're down here in the South, if you're on other places around the United States and just a Falcon fans or Uncle Steve fans, we welcome you in and thank you so much for joining us today. It is Friday, and it's the Friday before the championship games in the NFL. And what a weekend we had last weekend. I don't know how you can probably top those 4 games. I don't think I've seen a weekend full of football as exciting as it got last week, whether you had a dog in the race or not. And I really didn't. None of those teams tend to be Falcons on my team. So I'm still ticked off we're not in the playoffs. But that being said, just some outstanding football being played last week, which leads up to these last couple of games. First game is going to be Cincinnati Bengals at Kansas City. And 3 o'clock, I think, is the kickoff on that one. And at 6:30 will be the NFC Championship game where San Francisco travels to LA to take on the Rams for the NFC. I'd like to hear your thoughts and who you all think are going to win these games and what kind of matchup we're going to have. Right now, I just keep going back and forth. Well, I'll take it back. Let me go to the AFC first. AFC, I like Cincinnati a lot. It's a good story. Glad they did what they did. But I think when it comes down to it, I think you saw the 2 best teams in football play last week in that Kansas City Buffalo game. And I said this before, and I stick by it. I think the winner of that game goes on to win the Super Bowl. And Kansas City came out on top. I'm going to stick with my guns, and I say Kansas City is going to be the AFC representative in the Super Bowl. As far as the LA Rams and San Francisco game is concerned, that's kind of an interesting one, of course, since they're division rivals as well. They played each other that last game before the end of the season when San Francisco needed to win just to get in. And San Francisco played a really good game, got in there, took care of Dallas to no surprise. Little bit more of a shock beating Green Bay in Green Bay, or maybe Green Bay was overrated. But nevertheless, they did end up winning that game as well. I think this game is going to come down to quarterback play. Both defenses are able to affect the game and affect the quarterback. I look at the Los Angeles Rams right now with Matthew Stafford. I think this is his opportunity. I think all those years in Detroit might be bottled up, and now he's going to realize this is his chance to finally make a mark. And he's won 2 games, which is 2 playoff games, I should say. He's won 2 more playoff games than he ever has. And I think he's going to finish. I think he's going to finish the job. I think it's going to be a good game, back and forth. I look for Matthew Stafford and the Rams in a close one to take on the 49ers. It would not shock me if the 49ers won, but if you just ask me right now, I'm looking at Chiefs and Rams in the Super Bowl. Brother James, how you doing, man? Glad to join us in here. He says the Chiefs, Rams in the Super Bowl. That's look. I don't think either any matchup that you come up with is going to be a bad matchup. Even, Cincinnati Rams, Cincinnati 49ers. Cincinnati 49ers has some historical value, of course, because those two teams met twice back in the 80s. Joe Montana won both of those games. The first one was Ken Anderson, and the second one was Boomer Esiason. And those were really two good games back then, too, kind of down to the fourth quarter type of games. I wanted to come in today for a couple of reasons real quick. Wish I could have come in a little earlier. I have some technical difficulties earlier, but nevertheless. So, of course, I'm sure everyone has kind of heard the news about, I shouldn't say heard the news, have seen the little tweets that have been going on earlier today. I guess it was yesterday, Hugh Douglas dropped a tweet talking about Calvin Ridley and the possibility. I'll put it up here on the screen so y'all can see it. But yeah, just things when you put out in the universe, sometimes it gets attention. That's what Twitter is for, and no hate for that at all. And pull this up here, see if y'all can see that. Hugh Douglas yesterday, 7:36. Hugh Douglas, who is former Philadelphia Eagle and current co-host of the morning show on the radio station 92.9 The Game, the Falcons' flagship station. And he says, bro, I really hope Calvin Ridley didn't use mental illness to force a trade. Now, not only in this Falcon group, which is the best ever, Atlanta Birdgang, but I have also noticed in other groups, people have kind of run with this particular tweet. And I get it. I understand that some folks, especially when you hear from a former football player, and I'm pretty sure Hugh is connected in some ways up and down the line, but when you see somebody who's, on the flagship station, quite honestly, and puts that kind of information out into the universe, you start to wonder, now, did he hear something? Is there something that we don't know? Is there something to this? Did he cryptically put something out to give us a heads up that something was getting ready to go down? I understand all of that. And I've been very careful with this, and I've personally been careful. I've listened to everybody since last night into the morning in the group where I told you, that's like every person in the world, the phrase that you always want to tell people is, I told you so. And I think a lot of people see a tweet like this, and then I'm going to pull up in a few minutes another tweet that Calvin Ridley liked that caused a little bit of a stir in Falcon land. Obviously, it didn't rattle any cages in ESPN or Fox Sports or any other major sports outlets. It's only here because that's our guy. So I'm careful about it. And the reason I'm careful about it is just, kind of plain common sense. Listen, even if there is an inkling that he might not be telling the truth about his status as far as why he was out for this game, I'm pretty sure he's not going to come out in a press conference and say, hey, y'all, my bad. I was just trying not to play. And it sounds stupid. It is stupid. And I just don't think he would be that dumb to put that out, to say that. So if he hasn't put it out personally, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you this is what the case is. there are many that want a lot of us just to admit it. He lied. Well, he hasn't said anything. I've heard the rumor Calvin Ridley at the game. I'm still looking for pictures. Still looking for. I hear people saying, I'm not saying he wasn't, but even if he was at the game, it's not like that. I mean, I don't know. It's not the greatest look in the world, but it's not illegal either. So I think when we start jumping the gun on this story, I don't know. There's something in it. Like, we were talking about money. We were talking about I don't like you, coach, or there's some tension between the coaches. It's a little bit different. All I know is a grown man told me he had mental issues and he can't play. A grown man. So if he was mature enough to put out that first statement that he did a couple of months ago when he said he was taking time off, and remember, he took the time off, came back one game, and then went out again. You know, I don't know. I don't know if any of y'all have. I don't think anybody's told me that there's psychologists in this group. Maybe we need to talk to one. If there's a psychologist that wants to talk, I know we talk about debates and stuff, which is we need that too, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, if there anybody who knows about these type of situations, is this unusual behavior that we're having right now? Is this unusual? So I tend to just hold tight before I completely go there with he's not, 100% telling the truth. I don't know. And more than likely, neither do you. Dexter says, send Calvin to the Detroit. We will really find out about his mental. That's all. But we will, no doubt. We will find out. Oh man, could Dan Campbell be down there eating kneecaps? Isn't that what the coach said he'll do? Yeah, man. It's weird. James says, yes, I believe Ridley should be fined and traded, and it's a crime to claim mental if you not. And look, I hope he doesn't do. I hope this wasn't the case. And I still say to this day, even if it is not the truth, I don't think he would ever come out and say it. Now, if you came out and say it, I worry about your mental health even more. Stick to the story, because you're not doing yourself any favors if you come out and say, you know what, y'all, my bad. I was just playing. I just wanted to get out of here. People have gone all the way to, yeah, Julio been talking to him and stuff. I don't know. I want to be able to sit here and talk about it fully, but I can't. I don't think anybody else. Listen, you have your opinion to talk about it, which is fine. I don't mind most of the stuff that I've been seeing out there as far as most of the posts, because for the most part, it hasn't been horrific. To just have people that are, a little bit upset at them and things like that. But really, man, I'm not that mad at them. But dude, just go to the next page, man. Let's just go to the next page. If you don't want to play for the Falcons, let's get this done quick, and so we don't talk about it anymore. Because right now it's kind of interesting. I love it. What's the biggest complaint we get in here? All y'all talk about is Matt Ryan. We talk about Calvin Ridley today. So let's see what y'all got on the table. Going back to the Atlanta Birdgang Post review, Damian put out a tweet. He put out on Facebook, says, was Ridley's issue contract related? He saw a rookie come in and land a contract for $32 million and he was being paid pennies when he came into the league. He didn't paid pennies. I mean, and he got drafted 4 years ago, and when he did, he got slotted where he did. It's so hard when you start talking about being jealous of another man's money, and which again, allegedly, uh, that's a total different situation. If he was a top 5 wide receiver coming in, he would have got more money, but he didn't. He got drafted right about where people thought he was going to get drafted. It was a surprise that the Falcons got him, but he got drafted right around, they said, the middle of the draft, and he did. But the money situation, it was getting ready to come. Now, I always said before going into the season, I was surprised that the Falcons didn't do anything with his contract. Because if you really think about it, when we found out the news that Julio wasn't going to be here, I think what better way as an organization, which you have been able to show your now number 1 receiver that he's the man, than to, go ahead and get that contract done to put on the end of his rookie contract. Because this year coming up, 2022, this is the 5th year. So now you could have already had it worked out because he could have started his next part of the contract next year. I think the only thing in this situation is because the organization probably wanted to see what was going to go on with this team. One of the reasons we're in the situation we're in now is because we kind of overspent. We overspent on Matt. We overspent on Julio at an age where both of them, while still definitely good, but were declining. There's no way Julio Jones should have been getting $22 million a year contracts at the age of 32 when he's just not doing it like he was before. I don't think so. So I don't blame the Falcons for not extending Ridley, but at the same time, I maybe that's some of the problems of why they haven't done this yet. Why they haven't done this deal yet. But it is interesting, folks. It is. I'm trying to bring down. I was trying to find that other tweet. I can't find it at the moment with Calvin Ridley to see. But I don't see it right now. Yeah, it's a hard situation right now, y'all, because you can't. And listen, in the camp of Calvin Ridley, who knows, y'all? Maybe they work it out and he ends up staying here. I don't know. Maybe they do. But I don't know. It's interesting. Let me go to this one right here. This post is from Buckets D. Buckets D said, "This man just told me it's not the offense job to keep scoring when they have a lead. A lead that keeps going smaller and smaller at that." Well, we learned the hard way that you got to keep scoring. You got to keep scoring. The LA Rams almost found out the hard way if they weren't able to get that last pass in at the second. You got to keep scoring. You got to have your offense keep the pressure on. You have to. Lionel says, what's going on, Lionel? Lionel says, "I think they wanted to see how he handled the pressure of being number 1." And Lionel, that could be it too. Why they didn't extend him quickly. And after we saw what happened this year, maybe they got their answer. It's almost a Vic Beasley situation when you think about it. Remember, they hurried up and extended Vic 2 years before, and then the next year he fell off a cliff. but we had already extended him to that other year, kind of in that same situation. So yeah, maybe they were trying to see if he was gonna show some type of leadership skills, and it sounds like he didn't. Uh, when you look about it, go right here. This is where you come up, and this is Brent. Brent says, let me get that out the way. Brent says 5 players take up $142.8 million of our cap. Hopefully we can move Dion in his contract as well as Ridley. And if not this year, then next year move Grady because he'll be 30, going on towards another contract without enough production. We all know Matt, Lord have mercy. We know, no wonder we suck. And it's a good little graphic down here where you look at the 2022 cap hits. These are the reasons why we were talking about quarterback in the later rounds rather than the first rounds for this year. Because even if you drafted a quarterback in the first round, you still have to pay him a little bit as opposed to that second round pick or third round pick where the guaranteed money is different. But that's amazing if you look at those numbers, man. 48-7, 23-8, 23-7, Dion 20 million, Julio still holding on with that money, man. That's bizarre right there. We are paying cats a lot of money on this team. Lionel says, yep, a big mistake. Fold like he did. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And again, I've never been in those shoes, so I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I know what's going on. I know a lot of tough talking keyboard warriors. Well, if I was, and this, yeah, I hear y'all. I'm as upset as the next person that he's not playing for the team. But again, before we just 100% say, "Oh, the man lied," let's see how this thing plays out. I just look, y'all can talk to somebody else, and they might tell you something different, and I have no problem with opinions. But you know, we'll see. Brian Homeboy, who always comes up with his little questions. Do you really think that Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley want out because of Matt Ryan? It's a legitimate question. I mean, I don't know. It's legitimate, but I'm not sure. Yeah. The Matt Ryan thing, I mean, the Julio Jones thing, that could have been a little bit of exhaustion with that. Sometimes you might get tired of, especially when you start losing. It's one thing to say, I want to play with this guy forever. But some people at the same time, man, this is, nobody likes losing. And Julio was probably tired of losing. We can laugh and joke as much as we want with Julio about being out of the playoffs and all that stuff, but he was in the mix this year. Definitely didn't have the monster year. We don't have to worry about that. That's their problem now. Who cares about that? That's on them. Hey man, what's going on, brother? Says Ridley's done. He doesn't want to catch and get up the field, and that's a problem for a receiver, no matter if you're number 4 on the depth chart. Even Gage tries with those crazy missed time hurdles. Yeah, those hurdles. He did do a lot of hurdling this year. Oh, Gage did. Yeah, I mean, everybody doesn't have that makeup, man. Everybody doesn't have that makeup. Some folks look the part, and some folks are the real deal. I mean, when you think about it on this team, if you remember when Roddy White was here, and Roddy White was clearly the number 1 receiver here for the Falcons for a good 2 to 3 year stretch. And once we drafted Julio, sometimes, we all fall guilty to the eye candy. We were talking about this the other day with Mike Davis in summer camp, in training camp, with the shorts and t-shirts, how, oh my God, his thighs are big. That's 1,500 yards. And it doesn't really add up. But when you're talking about Julio coming in and basically, he didn't force Roddy out, but he definitely forced Shanahan to kind of make a decision to say, well, hold on. Now, I have this physical specimen I'm talking about Julio early. I have this physical specimen that I can use A, B, C, D ways, and he makes my whole offense better. Matter of fact, he's so good that he's going to take the pressure off my other receivers, Sanu, Gabriel, and shoot, even Hooper at that time. It's not hard to say, okay, that's a number one receiver. In the case of Calvin Ridley, I mean, you could have fought your way to let people know that you're the number one receiver. He actually did a really good job. That's the crazy thing. I keep hearing everybody say, well, he wasn't ready for the position. He was ready last year. And when I say last year, 2020, when Julio left, he was second team All-Pro. So when I hear people say he wasn't ready to do the job, he was ready. Now, there was a lot of pressure. There wasn't as much pressure probably in 2020 because Dan Quinn was already out of here. Falcons, for the most part, were out of the playoffs. So Ridley just went out there and just played. Now, coming into this year, a lot of the pressure was on him. You've got to be the man. And I keep going back to the press conference where Arthur Smith definitely called him out. And I don't know whether maybe he wasn't ready for that. I don't know. And is that what the mental break was about? I have no idea. And neither do 90% of us who giving their opinions on it. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe that was it. Maybe that was Christopher says all that backwards running too. Yeah. And almost like we were thanking Ridley in 2020. Thank goodness Russell Gage was here in 2021. And yeah, he's a free agent now, but I would imagine they're probably going to reach out to him and see what kind of number he wants. It wasn't like I don't even think he was making $800,000 if I'm not mistaken. If I looked at the spot track, right? I don't think he was making that much money. Maybe they can talk him into coming back on a 1 year. I don't see them. He's not a multiple year guy at this part. I don't think he is. Just to kind of see what he could give us, what he might be able to give us on the field. But I'd sign Gage maybe the 1 year and see. This is one of the posts that kind of burned me a little bit when I kept seeing it. And I've seen a lot of people, and I've seen it in several posts. This little, I don't even know who the FFYT football films, I guess. Josh Allen plays great in the playoffs, but loses and gets praised. Matt Ryan has one of the best Super Bowl performances of all time, but loses, and apparently it's all his fault. Make it make sense. Well, for the person who wrote that post, I have a couple of things about that. First of all, you want in 2017, Matt Ryan was getting his love coming off of that Super Bowl because for the most part, he really didn't play a major factor in why they lost in that game. He did. He played one of the greatest games of all time. But I think the problem with whoever wrote this thing, they say Josh Allen played great in the playoffs, but loses and gets praise. That's because it's 2022. In 2022, since 6 years since Matt almost won the chip and was still winning playoff games, the Falcons were more relevant then. 4 losing seasons later, as a quarterback, people have started to add stuff to the list. And the further you get away from your glory moment in Houston, the more people are starting to say, ugh, maybe this wasn't all what it's made to be. And Josh Allen just happens to be the hot guy right now who lost. Fast forward 6 years from now, I don't know how Josh Allen's career is going to go. This could have been his best year ever in the NFL. Maybe he takes a swoon and maybe he has 2 to 3 losing seasons in a row. If he has a losing season, like 2 losing seasons in a row, this narrative changes. If he loses 2 to 3 years in a row, we'll be saying to Josh Allen, oh, Josh Allen, that was a fluke. He didn't do anything. He's garbage. He's trash. It'll be the same thing. So this is a really dumb concept. And for anybody that looks, anybody who's in the pro Matt Ryan stays an Atlanta Falcon forever and a day, when they look at this post, they're like, you're right. Matt Ryan is the hero. No. This is really a out of sync type comparison. You can't compare Josh Allen from 2022 and Matt from 2017 because in between the 2017 and 2022, Matt hasn't done much. So we have that history to add. Josh Allen is just getting started. Again, 5 years from now, we could be saying the same about him. We could be saying the same about Kyle Murray, Joe Burrow. Go down the line. But we haven't got there yet. It's easy for us to say Josh Allen is much better than Matt Ryan. But I always preface it with say, at this moment he is. So yeah, Josh Allen is going to get all the praise for losing because he's in the playoffs. And he's been in the playoffs for the last couple of years. It's a ridiculous notion. When I kept seeing this post, that was one of those that just was making me sick because I was like, what, do y'all really see what y'all saying? But anyway, let's see. Joy, what's going on, my friend? How you doing? Quick lunch break. What I missed? Just talking a little bit of Calvin Ridley situation and going through what I like to do every week, just called the Atlanta Birdgang Post Review, where we just go through a couple of the posts in the Birdgang, and instead of me sitting there typing, which I really don't like to type, but just read some of the things on the air and just talk about it with y'all and things like that. What's going on, Philip? Same thing. I hope you were there. Feel good to see you, brother. Hadn't seen you in a second. Glad to have you joining us back in the Atlanta Birdgang and in Uncle Steve's Lounge on YouTube. Glad to have y'all in. He says, bro, Josh Allen left it all on the field. You can tell he wanted one more chance to win, matching Pat Mahomes each drive. And again, we are a prisoner of the moment. Of course, in 2022, anybody who just saw that game 5 days ago, we are still kind of drinking the Kool-Aid on Josh Allen, as we should be. That was an awesome performance. Coming off the Super Bowl this 2017, Matt Ryan was the toast of the town, MVP. Going into the next season, we were on 4 national games that year. Matt's on the poster of a lot of stuff. He was in the intro to, I know Julio was on the Sunday night intro, but it was, Matt was being placed up. So when I see people put that on a post and try to compare and say, well, Matt didn't get love, Matt did get love. This is again, today's generation is a 72-hour cycle. You're like hot as fire for 2 or 3 days, and the next week it'll be another hero. But just a dumb comparison. In the 40-plus game winning drives, Matt has none that would have been a tug inward. Would have hold on. I'm gonna have to I think I see you corrected this. In the 40-plus game winning drives Matt has, I bet he hasn't thrown for a touchdown, all field goals. No, not true. Green Bay game, Super Bowl year, down, and Sanu catches the touchdown in the end zone. That was one. and I'm pulling them up as I can remember. So it's taken a while because Matt's been here for a long time. I'm just trying to think right off my hand how many of those game-winning scores were actually touchdowns. But I mean, who cares if you just need a field goal? Why would you care about a touchdown? Seattle game was one of the biggest comebacks. The Seattle game, the playoff game in 2012, which is actually January 2013, that particular playoff game was extremely similar to what Patrick Mahomes did. We got the ball back. I want to say it was 20 something seconds left. And we threw a couple of passes and Tony Gonzalez down the middle, stopped the clock, Matt Bryant kicks the field goal to take the lead. I mean, if you want to put it that way, yeah, maybe he didn't do a touchdown, but if you don't need a touchdown, why would you? I don't know why you would, try to go down that far. Rusty, what's going on? Said this thought crossed my mind the other day. Just think when we finally do win the Super Bowl, the emotion this fan base will feel when that quarterback, whoever it may be, goes out there and kneels the ball. I'll probably shed a tear. Listen, and that's why I say this phrase a lot, and I know y'all hear me say a lot of things repetitively, but you're a prisoner of the moment, man. Listen, if whoever comes in here next comes in here and wins a playoff game, they become the next hero. Whoever comes in here next and takes us to a championship game becomes the next hero. It happened for Chris Chandler. It happened for Mike Vick. It happened for Matt Ryan. And it's going to happen for the next guy. It's all about winning, man. Do you think anybody this year, when Matt Jones took New England to the playoffs, was anybody thinking about, well, they might have been thinking a little bit about Tom Brady since he was still playing. But they were concentrating on the today. The today was about winning now. You can't worry about the past in those situations. But I hear what you're saying, though. Absolutely, I would. Christian said, as I remember about our Super Bowl loss, the person who got most of the blame was Dan Quinn and Kyle about the playing on the sports shows. But the only thing that was brought up about Ryan is how does this affect his legacy? That's all I can remember. I remember even Christian John Harris. He fought me tooth and nail saying that Matt Ryan should have just not listened to the coach and audibled into run plays and did what he had to do or whatever. And I say to myself, if you haven't been doing it all year, why would you all of a sudden do it on the biggest stage? Kyle Shanahan's plan had worked to get you to the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. I find it hard to believe that you would all of a sudden break off and do your own thing. I get the logic behind it to say, hey, this probably makes sense. And of course, now we look back, of course it made sense. But yeah, it's just easy, y'all. Philip says, how long from now do you think it'll take us to be a contender or playoff team? I think 2023 will be pretty much, I think that'll be the beginning, and I'm going to tell you why. And I don't want people to think it's not about to kick Matt Ryan out of the town thought. Think about the young guys that we've been drafting for the last couple of years, and you see growth in people like Michael Walker, and you see sprinkles of Richie Grant, and you saw how they built up someone like Foye Oluokun, who might not be here. But I like that we have teachers. I know a lot of people don't like Dean Pease, but he seems like a teacher. And I would love to see one more draft class plus the one we already got in 2021 learn one more year under this guy And let's see in 2023, does it finally click? If you asked me right now, and it's very early, and I'll change my mind 10 times, so don't show me this video saying, Steve, you said this, I told you so. I think that this year coming up, we might regress. We might regress in 2022. I'm getting my head ready for it. We just might, in my opinion. Because we still have a lot of young guys on the roster. Offensive line might even get better, but we're going to regress. If you asked me January, I haven't seen any transactions, draft choices, and anything like that. So I reserve the right to change my mind. But if I had pretty much some of the roster that I have right now going into next season, I don't feel that great. Even you talk about, we were talking about the other day with Sean Payton leaving, the possibility of Tom Brady retiring. Those two rosters still, if those guys left, they still have probably more talent than we do. So you're still looking at, I think, this 1 year here to kind of catch our breath and see what we're doing. I think it won't take that long. I think 2023, you might see something. Conscious K. Brown says, bye, Calvin Ridley. I promise you, you won't be missed. Y'all ready to get him out of here? And look, he's been a distraction, folks. The situation has been a distraction. Even if we're talking respectfully, if it turns out 100% that he absolutely has been medically diagnosed, taking medications for mental health, is still a distraction, no matter how you put it. And that's not disrespectful. That's just what it is. This whole thing has been a distraction. So when you have distractions, you get it out of there. Almost like the Julio stuff. When the Julio stuff was going on, the Shannon Sharp call was made, all of a sudden that was the distraction. You need to hurry up and get that out of the way. And let's have a camp that we go to this year without the distractions. Let's not hold on to the Calvin Ridley thing and we're worried about how that's going to turn out, going into the season. Let's get all of the negativity, all of the thing. Dude, and in those situations, I do want Matt Ryan in that situation because Matt Ryan is a leader. And Matt Ryan will be able to at least galvanize the guys and tell them, say, okay, y'all, this is how you are a pro. This is how you do this. If there's a second round quarterback behind him, hey, this is how you do this. I've been around long enough to know how to do this. I'll give Matt Ryan at least 1 year. At least this might be it. Christian says, I'm telling myself 3-4 years before we are contenders, but things can change depending on what we do in free agency and draft. It's any given Sunday, as all things are possible. And Christian, I don't have to go far. You look at the turnarounds, and granted, those teams had quarterbacks, which is one of the reasons why I kind of, when you go back and look at Kyler Murray, that didn't take long to turn that around. Justin Herbert, that didn't take long to turn that around. I'm trying to think of the guy right quick. Philadelphia, Jalen Hurts, that didn't take long to turn around. They would have, they had the third pick? Yeah, what did San Francisco? Yeah, because San Francisco got Philly's pick last year. They had the third pick in the NFL, and they're in the playoffs next year. And I know they had some other people on the team, but those were the same other people who were 4-11-1 the year before. So it can happen. We just need to get the right draft picks, 1 or 2 good free agents, and it can turn around. It can absolutely turn around. I believe that. There's no reason why you can't. Rusty says, next year's schedule is tough. I looked at it and said to myself, 4 games, maybe 5. I want to be in a place like Denver one day, decent roster and able to afford Goats money. Goats quarterback. They might mess around and get an A-Rod 6 years removed from having Peyton. I mean, the situation would be very similar if Rodgers were able to go up there and look, and hypothetically, go up there with with one of the guys who was on the staff last year. Uh, you're on a team that already has Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. Who knows? Devontae Adams might give you a little bit of a cut discount just to go up there and play with Aaron. And who knows? Defense is up and coming. That's a team that could do some things. So yeah, it could be done. Even with the as bad as the roster looked in 2020, there were some things that looked a little bit better. I love the way we were taking the ball away from opponents those last few games. We still need to work on some things, but that's a plus. We hadn't even been doing that a lot lately. Fumbles, interceptions, AJ finally coming to, They said the Bengals did it. They had no pass rush and not one if the lead's best. I see what you're saying. Worst to first. Yeah. Cincinnati did it. It can happen. It can happen. Philip says, athletic quarterback versus mobile quarterback. What's the difference? To me, Philip, the moniker on mobile quarterbacks, to me, mobile always tells me you're speaking about a running quarterback. When I hear mobile, I hear running. And maybe somebody else is hear something else. I hear Lamar Jackson. I hear Mike Vick. I hear I can't really say Tyrod Taylor because he can actually throw the ball too. I hear run, look for the first progression and then run. That's what I hear when I say mobile quarterback. When I hear athletic quarterback, I think of those quarterbacks that not only have the pocket awareness to have discipline enough to stay in the pocket, but if they need that wild card, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, all those guys aren't run-first quarterbacks. You look at Mahomes, everybody wanted to, horribly, I know why some people stereotype that, but everybody wanted to make Patrick Mahomes Lamar Jackson. He is so far from Lamar Jackson, it's not even funny. But because he can scramble a little bit, Kansas City got a mobile quarterback. No. He's an athletic quarterback who can get out of the pocket, who can improvise, who can get you 3 yards. Did you notice Josh Allen this past week? Every time it was 3rd and 2, 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3. And you got Singletary in the backfield. And whose number did they call? Josh Allen. And 80% of the time, he got the first down. And get right back up there and then flick a pass 70 yards down the field to my man Gabriel scoring touchdowns. That's the difference to me. That's the difference to me when I see athletic quarterback. Christian says athletic quarterback is Josh Allen, plain and simple. I'm telling y'all, right now, at this second, when the question that everybody loves to ask, if you had a chance to get one quarterback to start your franchise, Josh Allen is my guy. And I've been high on Josh Allen for a couple of years. If you ever to go back and listen, I've always been high on Josh Allen. I am really shocked they lost the game last week. But Josh Allen is the complete package. He and Mahomes right now, to me, are playing so far above everyone else. It's not even funny. That's why I say whoever won that game is the odds-on favorite to win the Super Bowl. Because both of those guys have unique talents between the two of them that we haven't seen in a minute. Rodgers had a little bit of that, but he didn't have Allen's running style. Allen runs like a running back. Not exactly slow either. Kind of looked like he be creeping around, but got a little bit of giddy up. Now he doesn't have Mahomes and Murray giddy up. But he's got a little bit. Jalen Hurts needs a little bit of work, but just that little bit Jalen Hurts had got his team to the playoffs. He could do nothing but get better, even though they're talking about getting another quarterback up in Philly. He's going to do nothing but get better. Kyler Murray, who made his first taste into the playoffs this year, he'll get better. He'll learn from that very horrible game he had last couple of weeks ago. He'll learn. Christian says Peyton Manning said this on Monday Night Football. The quarterback position is changing with athletic quarterbacks because they move and throw when they feel pressure, and they can get you 10 yards when you need it. Manning said he would struggle in this generation of quarterbacks because he's a pocket guy. And who else are you going to listen to? When you talk about the quintessential quarterback, yes, Tom Brady has all the hardware. Peyton Manning was the perfect pocket quarterback. And he's admitted that. Times change. And I think that's what frustrates some Falcon fans. So it's not us getting mad that we have Matt Ryan more than us sitting on our couches in January watching Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, watching all of those. Yes, and I know Tom Brady's still there and everything, but he's a different breed. I'm not going to throw him in that situation. Matt Stafford is still there, but Matt Stafford has a little bit of physicality to himself too. So it's not like Matt Stafford still has a strong arm. But as Falcon fans, when we sit back and watch the future of the NFL, I've listened to my mom who been watching football longer than I have and knows more than I do, talk about all the time. It's a different game than it was. It's changed. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And I think that's the frustration. It's not we hate Matt Ryan that he's still here. I think we're sitting on the sideline. It's almost like you're sitting in the parking lot with a 2005 car and you watch these 2021 and 22 models pass you by. And you're saying, yeah, my car still works, but man, I wish I had that because that's got more accessories and that gives me more mileage. And that's going to last a little longer. I love what I have right now, but man, I'll make that trade in a heartbeat. Saying, we should stink it up until Arch Manning comes out. I can almost guarantee he's going to win the chip. That's a long time. I don't want to wait 3 to 4 years. But I hear you. He does look like. And I'll tell you, his granddaddy, man. Yeah, look, some of y'all might not have been old enough to. Archie Manning was a bad boy. So it doesn't surprise me that Eli, Peyton had the gene, and doesn't surprise me that Cooper's son has the gene as well. Because Archie Manning was a bad boy. He just couldn't win. Them New Orleans teams were putrid. We used to destroy New Orleans back when Archie was here. That boy was the truth. Rusty said, chill, Steve. You're going to make me buy it. He'll make you buy a new car. Hey, man, that's on you, man. You better talk to your girl about that one now. I ain't got to. We get me in trouble. But you know, that's what I'm saying. You think about that. You love your older model. It's almost like you love your house. Your house, you've been in your house 15, 20 years, and sometimes, you know, you just want something new. But the car analogy to me is almost perfect. Yeah, I love car got you 250, 300,000 miles. No more car note. Well, in this case, we do have a car note because we refinanced. But You have this car that has gotten you through thick and thin and the good times and all of that. And you just look over there and you see those new hybrids or something else. And, you know, we want something new. But hey, it is what it is. Listen, y'all, I got to get going, get ready to go to work. Might check y'all out tomorrow. Not quite sure. Y'all will see why. But if I don't, y'all bundle up. It's supposed to be real cold down here in the South. And that's you over there too, Rusty. I think y'all supposed to get some of that cold weather sweeping through there too. So everybody stay safe, stay warm. And let's enjoy these games coming up this weekend. And we'll definitely talk about that post game and otherwise. Y'all take care. We'll catch y'all down. Happy Friday. Let's go.